on this concept. Yeah, see that? She's got it. So we invited her. I love the strategy. I love the placements, but the way she thinks about things creatively, she was born and raised in a position that helps her do that. And she just brings it to the table so beautifully. And she does it in a way that really respects and works with your leaders and the people that are behind all of this. I love that the way that she does it is an outward mindset, not focused internally and just on what's working for me, but it's an outward mindset. So it really works, and it works long term. But some good strategies to reach there and get the momentum going in the first place so that it can be all that you want it to be. And so I'm going to turn the time over to Melyna to have her share, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A so you can bring some of your specific situations. So I want you to be thinking and processing as we're going through, hey, how can I apply this right here? And if there's any gaps, we need to bring that forward. When I think about presidential, right, it's a leader that leads leaders. So that's what you are. That's this process of becoming. So you're grooming these leaders. You're raising up these leaders in this process. And you're building belief in the meantime in themselves as a leader. So all of these things will contribute to that. We are so grateful to have you, Melyna, and bring this powerhouse. So.
Wow. Well, thank you. With an introduction like that, I don't know, lots of pressure. So it's a little bit short notice. I don't have any like PowerPoint slides or anything, but I did break this down into 6 steps. There's so many different things we can talk about when hitting rank. And are we specifically talking about presidential, or is there some people?
Yeah. So these are diamonds and presidentials.
Okay.
So, diamonds and blues.
Okay.
Are going to a strong presidential, right?
Perfect. So the first step that I think is really important, and I know this sounds like very basic, but I think it's really important to redefine your why. Oftentimes we have this initial why that drives us to diamond, and then when we get there, we forget to redefine our why, and so we're kind of stuck where we have this goal, but our why is not there. A lot of times that financial reason that maybe drove us to diamond, we don't quite have as much of a need. And so if we don't redefine that, then our goal might not really align. And maybe we kind of put a cap on what our why, achieved for us. I know for many people, like myself, and I'm sure probably the Goddards, our why transitioned to where we don't build doTERRA anymore because we have to pay our mortgage, but it turns into our team. Our why kind of has transferred to, we have so many people that still need to be blessed, so many lives and homes that still need these oils, so many people on our team that we're benefiting from, but they're still struggling financially, they're still struggling to be able to take care of their families. And so our why completely has changed. And when we understand that, then we come at that goal from a different purpose, because unless you really have that strong why, then it doesn't matter how we tell you to accomplish it, you're not going to do what it takes because there's not enough urgency in it. So if you haven't looked at your why, I would really recommend you revisit that so that you know exactly why you're doing this, and if your goal aligns. And so it's not just like, well, this other person that started about the same time as me, they're hitting presidential, so I just don't want to be left behind, or whatever. That's not really a strong why. So it's not going to drive you to really be solid. And then the second step that I have is to really talk to your leaders and redefine their why. Is their why the same, or has it changed? And what is their goal? So often we get kind of stuck in ours and what we're looking at, and it's great to have our own goals and things like that, but if we haven't taken a minute to stop and talk to our leaders about what their goal is, if our goals are not aligned with them, then there's going to be a lot of frustration on our part and on their part. And so we really want to make sure that we stop and we've spoken to our leaders, and we get really clear on what their goal actually is and what their why is, but also what motivates them. people generally tend to be motivated by 3 different categories. So one is financial, one is recognition, and I actually think this one is pretty big, and it's not necessarily, I want to walk down the purple carpet or, be on stage, but a lot of people are driven, especially I think mothers that were kind of invisible doing diapers and washing laundry and cooking, and they just kind of forgot who they were. doTERRA kind of brings out that recognition where all of a sudden they're being recognized for things that they're accomplishing. And I think men in general, this really applies to as well. In the workplace, they're not quite as recognized. We as women will give each other compliments. Your hair looks nice. I really like that shirt. We'll even say things like, your butt looks really nice in those pants. Like, we compliment each other all the time. And I don't know too many men that get that type of exchange. They usually are only recognized when they aren't doing something. So doTERRA really gives them a place that they can be recognized for their accomplishment. And some people, it's just about a legacy and the change that they're creating in the world. So understand really what motivates them, because this is going to help you motivate them, basically. And then step 3, make sure that you really know where you are, where each of your leaders are versus where they need to be for that goal to be accomplished. I actually want to go back to step 2 when we're looking at their goals. So if their goal is different than yours, then you have 2 choices. You can realign your goals, maybe change them a little bit so that they're aligned with your leaders, or you can help your leaders realign theirs. And by realigning theirs, it needs to come from a place where they are still in control. They are still making the choices. It shouldn't come from a place where, oh, my upline wants to hit presidential, this month, and so I have to do that. Well, and really the last week of the month isn't a really great time to decide that. It should be the first, but let's say, okay, my upline wants to hit presidential in November. That means that I have to hit platinum. It shouldn't be like that. It more so is a conversation like, if they say, yeah, I want to hit gold and then maybe platinum the next month, then that's when you look at them and you go, oh, okay, yeah, that's interesting. Now, one thing I want you to know is, and whatever month it is that you're pushing for that rank, find the value in that month for them. So if it's October, you can talk about why October is a really great month. We just got back from post-inventory. We've got so many amazing products, or we've got the holiday season coming up. There's so many people that are looking for unique and thoughtful gifts. They've got it in their budget already to buy that, so let's make sure that we show them what they can purchase with doTERRA first. And there's a lot of different ways you can do this. I put together flyers. You can even go around to different companies. And, if you go to like maybe a sales floor, there might be an office manager that needs to buy gifts for all of their top salespeople, or a doctor's office that maybe needs to buy gifts for all of their assistants or secretaries or whatever else. So when you put something like that together, it's really simple, especially if you're able to go in and package up for them. So somebody might say, okay, I'll take 5 of the athletes kits and 10 of the intro kits or whatever, and then you package it up, put your information in there. Not only are you getting that volume, but you're actually creating long-term growth. Whatever it is, you just want to find what the benefit of that month is. And oh my gosh, Natalie, I wish I was getting my hair done too. She's like getting her hair done right now. That's beautiful. So you want to create a value and urgency, or it might be, we've got post-convention tour going on. I'm actually able to offer some specific incentives this month that I wouldn't be able to, the following month, or I'm on tour. What is the benefit of them pushing for that rank a little bit sooner? And you always want to end with, it's completely up to you. This is your business. I just wanted to let you know, here's some of the options available. I think you can definitely do it. And, my philosophy is also, it's better to aim for the stars and miss than shoot for the gutter and hit it, right? So a lot of times they just need that, the logic to push them a little bit sooner. Maybe they're not quite ready, or they're scared to really push yet, or they don't really think they can do it. So I often have people say, you really think I could hit it that month? Or you think I could hit it before January, or whatever else? And they just really need reassurance. But then I always leave it up to them. It's completely up to you. And most often, if you create the value and you show them how you've got their back, you're going to help them that month, you really think they can do it that month, then they'll jump on board and they'll be there right with you. If they're still like, it's not really aligning with them, their daughter's getting married or something, so they just can't do anything that month, then you can decide whether you want to change your goal to a later time or whether you want to make up the difference for them. Like, okay, I've got your back this month, and then we can really push the following month. So just make sure that you're clear on that, because I don't think it ever feels good when you're pushing by yourself or when you're dragging your leaders with you and they feel like you're making them do that, right? Then get really clear on where they are versus where they need to be for that goal to be accomplished. Step 4 would be know the financial difference for them, for you. Know what you have to work with, whether you hit that goal or don't hit the goal. The difference between, diamond and blue or blue and presidential, or the difference for them between whether they hit gold or platinum, so that you really kind of see the difference of what's possible. And then from that, and from that place of, supporting them, not them supporting you, right? We need to make sure that we're really clear on that. Then you create value and come up with a plan. Now, again, I'm going to reiterate, this is a place from you supporting them, not them supporting you. I remember it's kind of a painful experience for me the month that I hit Presidential Diamond for the first time. We've been working our guts out. We had a plan from the beginning of the month. Actually, the month before, we were just planning on going. And I don't think I communicated as much that I was going to be supporting my leaders. It was more like, hey, this is our goal. Here's where we're going. And the night that we were hitting Presidential, one of my leaders, it was kind of my weaker leg, they said something that really struck my heart. They were kind of like, well, I don't know, like they didn't really feel like they should have to buy in at all. And I'm very clear from the beginning, like, hey, we're going to go and I've got your back, but if you don't hit it, then you're going to buy in the difference of your bonus. And it's not about the money to me. It is about creating a place where they are driven to push till the very last of the month and not say, oh, I'm close enough, Melyna will get me there the rest of the way, right? So it's about them actually not getting that bonus unless they hit it. And so they understand that. And it came to that night and they're like, oh, we worked really hard. We don't really feel like we should have to buy in. And we're still quite a ways away, just so you know. And I'm like, okay, I don't understand, but you didn't hit that. Like, this was kind of what we agreed on. Yeah, but we really feel like we're working for your goals. We're working to hit your goals and not ours. And when they said that, like, first of all, I was like furious because I just put 5 new builders on them that month. I'd enrolled about half the people on their team. I'd worked and bent over backwards and worked my guts out to help that team get to where they needed to be, and they were still a little bit short. And so when they said that, I was like, oh my gosh, how dare them? I was so offended. I mean, I wasn't mean to them. I was just, whatever. And we figured it out and they bought in and everything like that. But for 2 days, I literally had tears because I felt so horrible that I could be putting my heart and soul so much into a team and they would feel like they were working for my goals and not for theirs. And I told them, I'm like, well, I'm confused. I thought your goal was to hit diamond. And so I'm trying to get you as close to that as possible. And so it was a really frustrating situation, I'm sure, for all of us. And what I realized, though, was that I wasn't empowering my leader. I was kind of telling them what to do because I can be good at, and a lot of times as leaders, we've been there, done that, we've got the experience. It's easy for us to see what needs to happen and tell them, okay, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to make happen. And I was telling them what to do instead of asking them or offering suggestions and having them come up with it. So they kind of stopped thinking for themselves. They just kind of waited for me to tell them what to do. And I completely disempowered them to where even when they were making progress, they were feeling like they were doing it for me and not for them. And I think that harms our business so much because nobody's going to build and sacrifice and do what they need to do as a favor to you. They want to feel like you're there working your heart out, not as a favor to them, but to support them. So really make sure. So yeah, that's number 5, is to come from a place of supporting them and not the other way around.
Melyna,
value in that.
I want to break in on that one because I think that's so big and I think that's tricky. You navigated it with that one builder, but this can really be a point that can really affect the relationship, right? If you don't do this part well, when you come up against that, if that perception is there, then it can really be hard to recover. So I just want to talk about even, other ways to empower, other ways to get them really brain on and in the game.
I just want to take a picture of you getting your hair done.
You have to stop the video.
Okay, just kidding. Yeah, definitely.
So, I think prevention is always easier, right? So part of me is like, okay, so what are the prevention tactics to do to keep their brain on? Asking them more questions like you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Any other tips on this that you feel like is valuable?
So with number 2 is just identify their goals. When they're telling you what the goal is, then you're helping them with their goal. It's kind of like, I kind of look at our role with our leaders as their personal trainer. And I remember, when I was younger, I'd see the personal trainer there and I'd kind of make fun of the people that needed someone to watch them on a treadmill or whatever. I was like, that's so silly, whatever. Then I became a mom, and you guys all know what happens. Like, the gym was like this great idea to do when I had time. And I realized, okay, I need someone there to hold me accountable. And when I'm actually at the gym, instead of doing 5 reps and then going to the drinking fountain or whatever, like, they make me do 15, and they up my weight a little bit, and they change my body mechanics a little bit so that I'm isolating the muscles that I should be isolating, and I'm not hurting the parts of my body that I shouldn't, that shouldn't be engaged in the exercise. And so it's just these minor adjustments so that we're getting the most efficient workout, with our time, right? And I think that's what we are here, the role that we play with our leaders. Now, a personal trainer would never walk up to you and go, you look like you could lose about 20 pounds and we really need to tighten up that rear end. Like, they don't do that. They ask you, what are you wanting to accomplish? Okay, and what are you eating? What are you doing currently? What are your goals, right? And then they put you on a plan for that. And I think that's the place that we need to come from. What are your goals? What's your why? And we need to understand how they're motivated so that we can go back to that. It's so much more powerful when you can say, all right, so you told me that you wanted to hit, platinum, or you told me you wanted to hit diamond by, next spring. And so I think this really helps put you on pace. How would you feel about this? What do you think about this? Instead of, you should do this. And, that's interesting that you're looking at doing that in December. December's a great month, but let's look at October and November. I think here's some of the reasons why you might want to look at that sooner and create that value for them. Let them know what benefits you can provide for them. And then to say, it's totally up to you. This is your business. I really believe in you and think that you can make this happen. Wow. And it's whatever we say is going to be so much more powerful if we first ask them what they wanted and we repeat that to them. Okay, so I heard you say you wanted this. I'm hearing you say you want this. I'm hearing you say you're scared of this or whatever. Now, let me actually just take a little look here. How many people on this call do we have that are accountants? Anybody? Okay.
No.
Anybody that is an engineer?
I don't think there's any engineers.
Okay, so I didn't think so. Generally, there's not. The type of people that we attract in this business are entrepreneurs. They are people that don't like being told what to do. How many of you guys, how many of you guys like being told what to do? Like, it would just be so wonderful if you just could show up and someone else told you everything to do, and then you clock out and you don't have to think about it again, right? That's not how we're made up. The people that this type of business tends to attract is people that do not like to be told what to do. Mm-hmm. So they're wanting to be in business for themselves. We don't want to take that away from them. There's a tricky part of this, actually, because we don't even like to be told what to do from ourselves, so we have to be tricky about how we speak to ourselves, too. Any of you guys tried to go on a diet where you're like, okay, I'm not going to eat any chocolate, and then all you want to do is eat chocolate more than you ever did before because you just told yourself that you couldn't do that, and your brain is going to automatically go like, oh yeah, right, really, I can do whatever I want. I don't have to call the 50 people I said I was going to call on my list, and so we have to kind of reprogram the way that we talk to ourselves. so that we're supporting ourselves and we're not bossing ourselves around. But specifically when it comes to our leaders, they don't like being told what to do. They like being supported. They like being a part of something. They like being, knowing that you have their back, not that you're their boss. And if anything, they're kind of your boss. They're the ones that tell you what they need from you, right?
You're pushing them from behind. That's the last thing they want to feel.
Yes, because do you know what happens when they feel that? They rebel. And like, it might be conscious, it might not be, but they rebel if they feel like, oh, really? I have to do this because, Natalie needs to hit that goal? Like, whatever.
Yeah.
She makes enough money or what, as soon as you hit diamond, everyone thinks you're a millionaire. So they don't feel sorry for you not hitting your goal because of them. It needs to be their why. And so, we've got, so we have step 1 is redefine your why. Step 2 is redefine your leaders' goals, their whys, and how they're motivated. Step 3 is really identify where they are now versus where they need to be. Step 4 is identify the difference financially, the difference that makes, so that you can take that, and then with step 5, from a place of support, create a plan with, what that difference can allow you to do, so that, you're making sound business decisions. You're not spending, $10,000 to make $1,000. And obviously there are some investments that long-term tend to pay out a little bit more.
Repeat 5 one more time, Melyna.
So 5 is just from a place of supporting them. Mm-hmm. You want to create a plan and create value and according to that difference financially.
Yeah.
So number 4 is you identify the difference financially. Number 5 is you create a plan with them. And so I'll talk about a couple of different plans that we have.
Hey, before you go into this, because I'm going to let you just go crazy. So one thought that was coming up as you were talking about the trainer and some of the language and everything, I was thinking, boy, like what you're saying about diamonds too, like they forget, oh, this is going to help me get to platinum, or this is going to help me get to gold, when they're just being resistant about you getting all the glory all the time. And that personal trainer is just, they're your accountability partner. So I feel like once we got diamond, I was a little bit winded, right? I was probably the personal trainer that was like, go on, do your thing, And
go a couple laps on the treadmill.
Monday morning at 9, like reach out to me then. And whoever didn't, I just let them go. And whoever totally showed up, I was there for. But I think it's important for me to realize what space they're at, because a lot of those people do need somebody to watch them run the treadmill, And I've noticed if I will give that for even a couple weeks or a couple months in the very beginning, that it will pay off long term. But if I resist that, right, then they never get off the ground, and I keep thinking they have all this potential, but I haven't given them what they need. Accountability wise, some need more than others. So I love what you're saying. That personal trainer vision helps me go to okay, I got to be willing to put it in. Make sure you choose the right people to invest in, but then invest that time and energy.
Definitely. I always say the type of leaders that we achieve really depends on the type of leadership that they receive. I have yet to meet somebody that just showed up on day 1 and was like this amazing leader. And everybody has their specific skills, which is why it's so important to identify. Oh, and I didn't put this on step number 2, but with their goals and their why and their motivation, I also like to know each of our leaders' strengths versus their weaknesses. Because I have some leaders that can enroll like crazy, but they have a really hard time when it comes to mentoring and like the smaller things that really those people need as far as duplication. And then I have other leaders that, oh my goodness, they can mentor their pants off. They're just like, whoa, rocking it. And they really help motivate people, and they're super organized, but they have a hard time attracting builders. And a lot of that is a confidence issue. But if you are able to see that, then that can help you when you're positioning or when you're working with people. Sometimes well, this person doesn't need me to put anybody underneath them. They're a top enroller, but they really need my support on three-way calls and helping train them on mentoring and leadership. And this person, like, if I enroll somebody and put them underneath them, I never have to worry about them because, like, she's on the ball. She's got everything taken care of. So you want to be clear on that too, kind of, so you know what strengths they have, because we're really not trying to, duplication is really important, but it doesn't mean make a bunch of mini us's. It means help people be the best version of them and duplicate the process, not duplicating the person. So we still want to make sure that they're able to keep their identity with that. And so yes, Natalie, what you said was awesome. Just helping them. Accountability is kind of like, for some people it's awesome, and for some people it's like a bad word, like they feel like they're being harassed or whatever. You are so much more empowered to hold somebody accountable when they have told you what they want, when they verbalize it. And sometimes we need to be a little more patient and ask the questions and get them to say it themselves versus us saying it to them. So that really helps with that.
One thing that has worked for accountability with me, I noticed that when Andy and I started our own businesses, if we would say, hey, we're going to go out to dinner on Friday night if we get this done, you know, and that was like our big, you know, we're amazing, we get to go out to dinner. And that was a huge treat for us. And so in accountability, I noticed that if people are getting a prize or a reward, you know, it's reward based, then a lot of times they'll forget, oh my gosh, I am reporting on this or whatever. They kind of lose track of that altogether. So.
Yes, definitely. You're right on the ball. And even with like the success check-in or the power mentoring or whatever, if people feel like they're turning in a report, they're going to be thinking, okay, this is why I, you know, this is why I wanted to do this business. So I didn't have to turn in reports, and I didn't have to like
to do a JOB. Come on.
Yes, like now I'm turning these reports in every week. And so it really needs to come from a place of help me help you. I want to make sure that I know where you are. I've got a half hour set aside completely just for you to help you achieve your goals. So I want to make sure we can be as effective as possible on that call. So we want to know exactly where you're at and what you're working with. So if it comes from a place of the only reason we want that is so that we can help you, not as like you're turning in reports. And so you really need to be careful with the way that you're speaking this to your people. And with that celebration, getting to go out to dinner, rewarding yourself, it's also important that you acknowledge your leaders and the progress that they make. Because I've noticed with my kids, when I praise them for, making their bed really well or whatever, they tend to make their bed even better. Or they tend to want to make you proud. And your leaders are the same way. And anytime that you can give them that leadership platform is a place of recognition. Having them speak on your team calls or find what they do well and say, hey, can you get on a three-way call with me and another leader that they're kind of struggling in that area and you're just brilliant at this, maybe you can share a little bit of your tips on how to do that. As soon as and it's not even just you and them, but there's somebody else where they're actually being labeled as a fantastic enroller or really good at presenting or really good at closing or wellness consult queen or whatever, and they're kind of getting edified as that, then they're going to continue to keep that habit up because that's one of their skills that they've been rewarded for, right? So that's really important. Okay, so now we've got those 5 steps down. We're going to, create that plan to support them from that. So there's a lot of different, I think incentives are great. I think obviously you guys all know the basic. They should be sharing, they should be enrolling, we should be duplicating that whole process. So definitely that. But when you're getting down to hitting a rank, and that's there's a Michael Jordan quote that some people want it to happen, some people wish it to happen, and some people make it happen. And I kind of feel this way about rank. And I will tell you guys honestly, we've never made any money off of a rank advancement for like the first 2 times that we've hit it, because I look at it and I think, okay, now I could wait for like 6 months for it to happen, or we could put some stuff in and create extra momentum, and it can happen 6 months sooner. Now, I know some people are like, oh, buy-in, I don't know if that really counts. It totally counts. I think it totally counts. You're investing into your growth, but you want to be smart with the way that you invest to ensure that you're investing in a way that creates momentum and long-term success, and not just something that that kind of fills a gap for that month but doesn't create anything long term. So I prefer to try to not buy in or buy in as little as possible, and instead take that money that I would make the difference from my rank to that rank and look at what we can create with that. Perhaps it's an enrollment incentive or it's a host incentive. A lot of times, you know, when these legs are having a hard time getting enough events to actually fill that volume, we can say, well, we'll do the diffuser for anybody that hosts a class with 300 PV or 400 or 500, whatever it is that you guys feel like makes sense. For these new people, I think I've talked to you guys about double fast starts before. It's like my favorite thing in the world. And it just creates momentum for these new people where for 1 month they get 40% commissions at fast starts instead of 20% just for 1 month, and it's for 1 month only, and we set them up. And so generally those people, instead of dragging it across 6 months to finally get through their warm market, they try to get it all done in 1 month. And it helps so much with placements because they've enrolled people close together, and it helps so much with just even their momentum where, you know, their spouse isn't going, really, another LRP order? Like, we're out of pocket every single month. But this kind of gets them caught up right in the beginning. And so I really just love that. And that comes from the enrollment tree plus 5% out of pocket. So something like that. Or when you're really trying to hit a rank and you've got some leaders that are struggling, most ranks you'll have some leaders that are fine, and you'll have like a couple leaders that are like lagging behind. I don't know anybody that has a team of like super evenly distributed teams, right? And so I'll look at that and we try to create some type of incentive for them. Most people are driven by money, and that's a lot of reason why they're willing to work so hard. And so let's say, for example, you're trying to go presidential. I might look at one of those weaker platinums, and depending on how far away they are, you'll have to look at that and see what makes sense. But I might say something like, and I've done this before, like, okay, well, if you could get within 3,000, then I'll buy in the rest for you. I'll take care of the rest, and then you'll hit platinum, right? And that will be about a $750 bonus for them. Now, if you're further than 3,000, then you're going to need to buy in that difference in bonus, and then I'll take care of the rest. Now, if you get within 1,500, though, I'll actually double your platinum bonus. So they'll get like a $3,000 bonus instead of a $1,500 bonus. And if you're organic, if you hit it without me having to buy in anything, then I'll triple your platinum bonus, right? So that means that you would give them, they get their platinum bonus from doTERRA, and then you'd give them an extra, it would be about $3,000, because usually that's about a $1,500 bonus. So I would much rather pay my platinum $3,000 than have to buy in $3,000, right? And so we really want to try to motivate them to push even further. And I like to help them take that a level deeper and go, okay, well, maybe we could look at giving this to your silvers. And I might even do like some sort of 3-month plan, like that's for this month. Now, if you want to hit it the next month, we'll start with doubling your bonus, and they have to get a lot closer. And so they kind of got this 3-month incentive so that they're doing stuff that creates long-term growth instead of just one-time growth. And then I'll help them break that down for their silvers. Like, well, you know what, maybe you could offer your silver the same thing where you're going to triple their bonus, because that would be about a $300 commission, right? And they might have one silver that's already there that we don't really need to work with, maybe the other two. And so what I really like about this is now they have skin in the game, where they're like, okay, well, what if 2 of my silvers hit and the other one doesn't? Like, then, and so they really, I love when they have invested that as well, and they've got something that they can get a $4,500 bonus for hitting platinum. Like that's a diamond bonus just for hitting platinum. And so, but it's only for this month, right? Remember, we've created value in like the month that they're gonna do that. So that's when they pull out all the stops, they get out of their comfort level, and they really, really push. But even more so, we get their silvers invested, and we might even go down a level deeper and say, okay, well, what can we offer the elites? Because elites tend to be on that level where they're like, not really sure if they're doing this or not doing this. They're kind of just sharing, and it's a hobby, but they don't usually have the same type of urgency and pushing this. And so if they have some extra incentive where they might be able to get $200 or whatever, you guys can go through and split and see what makes the most sense. I've also done other things where my platinum leaders completely on board, they don't really need motivation, and so we look at, what we would do for the silvers and what we would do for the elites, and I might offer that. I still prefer giving the platinum some sort of bonus so that they can take that bonus to work with and invest into their silver, so it's coming from them and not just from me. I mean, technically it's still coming from me because I'm giving the platinum the bonus and then asking them to reinvest it in the silver, but it's different than if I wasn't giving the platinum a bonus and I'm investing into the silver on my own. Like, there's so much value in them having the skin in the game. Does that make sense? And so they just kind of feel like we're all working together. We're all just really pushing until the end. Because how many of you guys, like, you've got this goal and then your leader's like, oh, I'm too far, and they just like check out a week before the end of the month. And you're like, oh, there's still 7 days. There's so much we can do. Oh yeah, I don't really have anything else coming in. And you're like, how do you not have anything else coming in? There's like miracles could happen in the last week of the month. And so I really believe in creating a plan that gives them an incentive to keep pushing. And you know what? Some people are not driven by money. A lot of people are. People that aren't driven by money don't make sense to me, but I'm just kidding. It's not about the money, but it's also not about the money. And money is a tool that really provides us so many opportunities to give. But some people might be more motivated by, hey, if you can hit this goal, I'm going to fly out and do an event for your team, or we'll do a team dinner, or you can buy them tickets to the incentive trip or whatever. You might want to look at something that they might be driven by more than just money. And so that's why it's really important to do number 2, where you know what motivates them. You know their goals, you know their why, and whatever else. It might just be like, you know what, I'm going to give you and your husband a weekend away at a spa. Like, maybe that would be so much more important to them, but maybe they wouldn't ever be willing to purchase that themselves. So whatever it is that you kind of can create, and this is why Michael Klaus actually says you need to know your qualifying legs so well. You need to know the carpet color in their living room, which I know sometimes they live in different states, but like, you just really need to know them very well so that you know what drives them. Otherwise, it's going to be hard in this partnership, because in your partnership with them, it's never about you. It's always going to be about them and what you guys can accomplish for them together. And as soon as we start making it about us, that's when we lose them. And I think we lose a little bit of ourselves too, because we're not coming into that authentic serving mode. And yes, like everything we do needs to benefit us. Like, that makes sense. I don't think anybody thinks that we're not gaining from it. Everybody knows that. But we need to make it about them. And then the last thing that I wanted to say is there needs to come a point where you have to really focus on the things that you can control, and then the things that you can't control, you need to let go of. I think sometimes we get like so stuck on something that we just keep putting into it. And I don't know if this will make me sound crazy or make you guys feel better, but I think most leaders have had to reorganize stuff. And I feel like sometimes in this business, we get into almost like this bad relationship where like you have like this horrible boyfriend or relationship or something, but you just keep at it because you're comfortable. And like, we have so many pictures together, and like, I've already invested so much, I just don't want to start over. And I feel like we're like that with some of our legs. We just keep dumping stuff into there. And pretty soon, I mean, we had one leg for a while that we just called our graveyard, because any work we put into there, it just like died. And verbally, they had amazing goals, great why, and everything else, but like actually there was some serious blockage and some personal development or something, maybe some upper limit belief, like in the big leap, where just I would say, I don't know what else to do for this person. I don't know what else I don't even know what I can do. I really thought I was at a loss. And I think there's some of those situations where we need to be okay with saying, all right, I'm going to let go of that. And maybe, you know, keep volume there for a minute while you need to and build a new leg. So when we hit diamond, 2 out of those 4 legs are our qualifying legs today. When we hit blue, that leg that was our gold, and then also helped qualify us for presidential, is now in our M1, because it just kind of got stagnant and then even started falling backwards. And then we've replaced our 6th leg, our presidential leg, this past year as well. We've replaced 2 of the legs that we were qualifying presidential with. And I'm not a fan of like, hey, you guys don't do it the way I want, so you're dead to me type of thing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, hey, I'm here to support you. These are my goals, but I'm not going to be held hostage by somebody that wants me to work harder on their goals than them. And I feel like I totally have your back. I'm going to support you. But if your pace is that you kind of want to do this as it's convenient or as whenever there's just extra time, then I don't feel like it's right for me to take time and resources away from my other teams or from my 4 children at home to make up for the work that they're not doing. And so that same amount of work and effort and resources, if put into somebody that is motivated and wanting to run, will create a lot bigger results. And that's what's wonderful about an M1, is once you get to presidential, kind of the people that are on their own little pace, you can just put over there and it works out just fine. So that is one thing that I would like to say is don't hold yourself hostage. Don't let somebody else determine your success. That's one of the areas that you can control. You can control how long, you kind of suffer. And I'm totally guilty of it. Like I see so much potential in people and I'm like, oh, they just need to get over this little break and then they're going to bloom. And I mean, I've had people that like I am filling in the gaps for them for like 2 years. And finally I'm like, okay, what am I doing? It's like my stepbrother, he's like 36 and I don't even think he still knows how to make his bed. He's still single and whatever else, but that's because his mom made his bed for him as he was growing up. And there's nothing wrong with that, but then he just kind of stopped doing it. And I even remember, when I was growing up, sometimes I'd see like dishes in the sink and like, oh yeah, those dishes need to be done. And I'd look at the clock, oh, my mom will be home soon. She'll take care of it. And I think sometimes our teen starts to feel that way. And then like you're an adult and it's time for you to move out of the house. And like, if you want those dishes done, you need to go do them. Like it's your responsibility. And so look within your teams, how many of them are taking full responsibility, or are they going, oh, this leg really needs to be filled in. Hopefully my upline notices and gets that done. So really, just be okay. And I know this is more long-term. I don't think we should necessarily shoot ourselves in the foot. If we've got a leg that's like halfway there, maybe you just want to make sure that you're looking at that. And it might be the best thing that you've ever done for them as a leader is to kind of wean them and help them grow their own wings and become their own leader, because that's going to give them so much more fulfillment too. So it's really all I had to say. Any questions?
Wow. Awesome. Yeah, let's bring it on the questions. Unmute yourself and bring it home. You got Melyna Harrison on the queue.
I want to be like Natalie when I grow up, so.
Oh man.
Anytime I can spend time with her, then I'm in.
It's a gift for me. Isn't it awesome how different we all are and that we're strengthened by each other? I feel the same way about Melyna. Like, look at this. Girl, bringing it.
That is what's really cool about doTERRA. I remember my first leadership kind of looking around going, these people are like so different than me. But anybody, and I mean, there's people that are even introverts and they're just, I'm actually kind of an introvert. They just rock it. They do it a little bit different, but they're awesome at it.
Yeah, amen. Hey, Aaron, you ready?
Yeah, Natalie, I got a question.
Let's hear it. Bring it.
You can hear me? Okay. Okay, good. I'm Melyna. It's Aaron Fraser.
Hi, Aaron.
From California, where it's actually raining for once.
Oh, nice.
I have a question. I have some thoughts, actually. So we've been Diamond. We went to Diamond quick. I feel like, between Wendy and I, we kind of built that. There was real lean numbers. And for the next year, we felt like we stabilized it. And so we just hit year 4. And so for the 3rd year, we kind of just, I think, enjoyed that a little bit. And it didn't feel like a lot of buy-in. There was little things here and there. We have a really good culture within our team. But I think something happened with momentum. And so when you said 2 of your 4 legs are still your qualifiers, that rings true for us because that's kind of where we're at, right? Our other 2 legs are still, there's lots of customers, but the leadership is just kind of, I just feel like the momentum is gone, right? And we feel like that's a reflection of us. But at the same time, we've been engaged weekly. A lot of these people just don't reach out. So we don't want to give up. And there's a lot of frustration there, right? And so I kind of feel like, we have continued to buy up, do what we need to do to keep that rank. Because we've been Diamond for so long, that buy-in is shrunk, right? So as the momentum has gone away and the buy-in's gone smaller, we're kind of at this gap, right? We're right around that number of, you know, $2 to $3 grand. It seems like the last couple of months of right there to diamond. So I really liked a call that you did, I don't know, it was a year ago. That was kind of, it was that call to, you know, pay for the wind to blow. And, you know, it kind of really rang with me because I thought people, to me, it seems like they're really motivated by money. But after they've had it for a while and they've been at that spot of, you know, at that silver level or whatever, making $1,000 a month, it's kind of like if they're not growing, if we're doing it for them, they're just dying off. So, I mean, what's your advice? We're trying to pull away and continue to build. It seems like we're just, I don't know, you know, 4 years later, just where we felt like maybe a year ago we were closer to blue than we are now. So. I don't know. Wendy's like, I don't want to continue to devalue. And I'm like, no, we have to do more incentives. We have to do more incentives. So, you know, working together with both those energies, it's kind of.
Yeah, and you definitely have to be careful.
Yeah.
Your incentives, they should always be something special that motivates people. They should not be the new standard so that when there's not an incentive, people are like, oh, I'll wait till next month or whatever.
Right.
So I would actually go back to your whys because sometimes we get comfortable and so we're not driven as much, and so we're not really willing to do what we need to do because we're comfortable. But I would also go back to your leader's why. I'm guessing their why was not like, or their goal wasn't just to hit silver and sit there forever.
Right.
So I'd really go back to reestablishing that and letting them know, like, hey, we're coming up on the strongest months of the year. Like, this is when we really get momentum going in our team that carry us through January and February and March. And so there's so many things that we can play right now to set up for that success so that momentum keeps continuing to grow. And come from a place where you're there to help them. And I'd also reach lower, like your silver's been sitting there and they're comfortable, but what about their elites? Are there people that should be going down that path from, yes, I was just a user, but now I'm kind of sharing, and now I want to build? They don't actually go down that path. Most of the diamonds in doTERRA were actually just product users. And they only became diamonds because somebody saw their potential and invested in them and helped them bloom. Whereas if we sit back and we're only like thinking of our silvers, we're not looking at like what potential underneath them is just waiting to like spurt up, then we want to look at and pay attention to that. And then with that money and stuff like that, a lot of times all I really need sometimes is to know that you're still in the game and you're still doing it with them. If people feel like you're expecting them to do anything that you're not doing, it won't feel authentic. And also, if we are expecting them to do, or we're asking them to do something that we're not doing, then we're not authentic. And anytime you're not authentic to yourself, people can feel it. Only 7% of your communication is actually verbal communication. They feel that inauthenticity, or whatever that word is. And so what I would recommend is just get a little bit competitive. Maybe make a bet, $100 for whoever can enroll more people than you that month, or whoever can do more wellness consults, or who can get the most people that haven't been on LRP on LRP. And we're doing a sample challenge. Like, look at what areas would really benefit your team. Is there a lot of people on LRP and there's just no new enrollments? Then let's look at enrollments. But if you challenge people to beat you at it, then I think you'll have a lot of people that will want to step up. And so we've done that before, where we said, like, okay, we'll give $100 to anybody that can enroll more people than us. And it's kind of scary. But if our people are all enrolling a lot, then that's awesome.
Then you don't, right.
Yeah, and it makes me really get down and do the stuff that I should be doing. Sometimes I kind of neglect doing.
Right.
But that might just be what your team needs from you, is for you to be like, hey, I know we've been at Diamond for a while, but like we're doing all the same things that we're asking you to do.
Right.
And then, like I said, reach down lower and get those people that maybe have not been paid attention to as much, get on three-way calls, or get them engaged and excited, because that's where I think most of your magic really happens, is on those elite and premier levels.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. You guys are all ready to hit your next strength, right?
You're pro. I love, Erin, what Roxanne says about, you gotta be looking forward and not just solidifying, or you do fall back. And it's something that I didn't even realize until this last year. I was like, oh, that's what's happening. And, why did it take us a long time before we hit double, I was focused on solidifying and turning around and thinking I could help more people that way instead of helping by being an example of advancement so others could see that.
I agree with that. We've never solidified a rank until after we hit the next rank.
I think there's people that resist that. They think, oh, that's out. That's too much of a stretch. I remember talking with one of the sweetest leaders ever in doTERRA, and she was just like, Natalie, do you feel good about that in your conscience? And I'm like, I'll reveal, because she would tell you, right? It's Peggy Smith. And I said, Peggy, how long have you been wanting to hit blue? And years, right? She could have hit it years earlier, but because she held that, we won't buy in, we won't do incentives, we won't it was like it kept her whole team had that, top to it. And until she went, the top wasn't taken off. And since then, she has all these presidentials and everything on her team. But it required her to change some of that thinking. She was like, I don't feel honest about it. And I just said, wait, let's talk about this. There's the law of momentum and the law of leadership, and that's bringing those two laws into play. Love those 21 irrefutable laws. Read over those with Wendy on the, matching up with incentives maybe.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that too. And what my conscience has a really hard time with is those people that had a goal, they had a vision, they came in, and it took too long, so they quit. Because, 9 months into it, they're still struggling, and their spouse is like, no more. Like, you're being cut off. Like, I can't support this. You're gone, and you're working, and you're not making any money. And so those are the ones that really break my heart when I'm like, oh, for that poor single mom, it's just like trying her heart out, and she needs some help. And right. I'm happy to invest into any help when someone's doing their work. And I'd rather do that than buy in, or than wait for an extra 6 months or a year to hit something.
Right.
I totally agree on that one. Like, I saw someone like that on the 4th of July, and my heart just fell, right? Because I had all of that hope for that person. And it's almost like, okay, I just want to go back to her and say, let's start again right now. Because there is that responsibility, and possibility. And if people don't see leaders on your team advancing, that, we build belief by visualizing things, by seeing evidence. And so whatever we're speaking with our voice of, this is happening, this is being created, and then the physical evidence, they're seeing that, support it. That's where belief comes from. And it's so much about that. How's that feel, Erin?
Well, I love it. Wendy, we can spend more money. No, she's on her own team call right now, but I love that. I actually think that, the dynamic working together with her and I, I've had my own business, and I love investing in people. And I feel like part of my block is coming in and doing too much here because I felt like it was Wendy's baby, right? And so I've struggled with that myself, coming back in and leaving, and coming back in and leaving, as far as a husband in doTERRA. And there's been times that I played a really big role, and there's the times that I haven't. And so I just feel like there's a learning curve for us. But she was interesting the other day. And I think I don't know, I think a lot of people feel this way. She said, I never wanted to be the breadwinner. That wasn't my goal. My goal was never about money. My goal was to empower people, and I don't care about the money. And so I thought, well, why have we been comfortable for the last 2 years then, you know? And so anyway, it's a good reminder to find those people that need it and really serve them, you know, because I think we've lost that a little bit. We've lost it with people that have said, oh, I don't need the money. I'm just here for the community. We love the community, right? There's so many, we have, you know, thousands of people on this Facebook group of our team that just love the community. And I'm like, who's building with me, you know, and who really needs this? And so I think that energy has been lost a little bit. And
see, if that's what they're driven by, how many people's lives could they bless by bringing them into that community? I mean, how is being part of that? Being part of something is so important to us as human beings. That's what really matters. How many people do they know out there that are struggling and they need to be empowered with their health and with their wealth? Like maybe that's what drives them, is bringing people into that community.
Yeah, I love what you're
for sure
saying there, Melyna, because so Aaron, you could position that, because it sounds like those are a bunch of sharers that are happy to be in the community. How many people, you know, bring 2 people into the community this month, you get this connection with the community, you know. Bring 5 people in, you get this connection, and then create another community that is your builder community. That's your racers that want to go with you, where you're feeling like unrestrained,
right?
You know? And give them something else.
Right.
And then we have this question about buy-in that I just want to address because I have to jump off for another call. But let's see, who was it? Tara wrote, so our buy-ins tend to be on elite legs, and we've seen those legs crumble after buy-in, like it's deflating their momentum. And this is just specifically the last minute volume, not incentives or making it up. I think when you're buying in, you do have to be careful that, again, it's not like, hey, this is all about me, and you know, you're not calling this person that you've never talked to before and trying to order on their account. You have to make sure that you approach this in a way that is acceptable. So you're going to talk to the person that you have the most relationship with, obviously. A lot of times they're an elite that's sharing, or they're doing whatever, or maybe it's somebody that you just enrolled that's excited. When there's been times that like I needed to buy in a lot on an elite leg and I didn't have a relationship, I was not willing to damage any of my relationships with the team there. We just have a list of, like, I think we ran out of our friends and family that we could enroll. Like, okay, I'm going to enroll my brother-in-law, my uncle, whoever, and I'm going to buy in there because, you know, I'll get the fast starts for that, first of all, but I'm not willing to damage a relationship. Or I'll speak with people and say, you know, hey, I have some extra volume that I need to place this month, and I'd like to put that underneath you. It won't affect you at all. I'm paying for it. I just need a place to, you know, I've got some extra stuff that I want to order, and I want to help benefit your team. And they're like, oh, okay, you've got some extra stuff you need to order? Great. Like, they don't need to know, hey, I'm going to, like, fake this rank or whatever way that you're saying it. And some people don't really understand what it means. If you have some extra stuff that you want to purchase and you want to help those people above them, most people are like, oh, yeah, cool. What do I need to do? And so a lot of it just comes to your approach. And I don't know any, like, most people are just like, cool, I don't have to pay for it. I'm going to get LRP points, so that's awesome, or whatever it is. So I've never had people have an issue with that. Now, sometimes the leg, if you fill in too much for them and then you're doing it again and you're doing it again, then they feel like they don't have to work and build to their own elite, and that's what people is. And there's been months where, like, I just had to sit there and not rank advance because I noticed that people weren't pushing. So I like to do something where I start a new leg, and then I am a big bluffer. I might say, like, hey, it's up to you. I've got another leg too, so whatever you want to do. And then people all of a sudden are like, oh, I'm not your only choice. I have to be the closest one. And so they're trying to be the closest one so that they're the leg that I put the incentives in. And I mean, my other leg might not even be that close, but it's the same thing happened with Power of 3. I had leaders that would just kind of wait, like, well, you're going to get a 1,500 and I'm going to get a 250. So really, like, this makes a lot bigger difference to you. But as soon as I put that fourth leg up there and they're like coming to me with their Power of 3 issues, I'm like, oh yeah, you know, do whatever you want. Like, don't worry about me. I've got another leg. Like, it's all, you know, let me know if I can help you with something. But they're not going to ask me to fill in their Power of 3 for them anymore. that make sense? That's when all of a sudden they take initiative and they make sure that it happens. And so if you need to start a new leg, I'm not always against that. I mean, you want to be wise about it. I wouldn't like have 12 legs or anything, but if you have a leg that is consistently just in the same place over and over and over, then here's that we don't have the 90-day premier move. But that's, you know, you can always start another leg and start putting your focus and energy in there. And I've seen people hit silver in like a month or two. It's not crazy where you can replace that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really well said. Thank you so much, Melyna. Thanks for bringing it. Love
Thanks
you.
for having me here. You guys are all my favorite.
All these great comments about the clarity that she brings. So love it and are so grateful. In just as we wrap, I love where this is taking us. When you do that buy-in, just make sure that it doesn't take away from their belief in themselves, right? So in that process, you're reassuring them, hey, you have done amazing this month. Look at all you've achieved. Look at all you've progressed, da-da-da. I find that when those people drop off or feel discouraged afterward, it's because they felt like that they weren't enough, right? So they've got some of those mind games already going on, and you ask if you can purchase some extra volume there, and they put 2 and 2 together and just think, I'm not enough, right? So give them a reason to believe the truth, that they are enough, and that this is just part of the process. Love being with you today. Awesome call in your journey to presidential. I love the surrender that it takes. You can create this. It's within your reach, whether it's happening in October for you or whether it's happening in 2017. Whatever your path is, it's the right path. And we're trusting that process. So grateful you joined us. So much love to all of you. And just remembering today all of the people that are impacted by your choice to play big, your choice to play all out. So that lives can be changed. As we met with builders just in Orlando while we were there, I was remembering what it felt like to have, Andy working full time and me working 20 to 30 hours a week and taking care of the kids just to get over this initial hump, and how many of your builders are there? How many of your builders just need that breakthrough? So turn your mind, turn your heart to them and where their life is and what they need. And when you do that, everything will work out for you in the end. We love you. Have an incredible week. You're creating amazing things.